What if I told you that your greatest struggle in life is not the problems you face, but your reaction to those problems? What if, instead of fighting against the inevitable twists of fate, you embraced them? Imagine if, no matter what life throws at you, you can find peace, power, and purpose. Today we explore one of the most profound ideas in philosophy, Amor Fati, the love of fate. Stick around, because the next few minutes might change the way you view every challenge and setback in your life. In a world obsessed with control and constant improvement, the concept of embracing fate might seem counterintuitive. We live in a society where we are told to fight, struggle, and resist. But what if we stopped resisting? What if instead we accepted that everything, both the good and the bad, is part of a greater plan? A plan that is not always visible to us in the moment. Amor Fati is not about passively resigning to life's challenges. It's about loving them, even when they seem unfair or painful. It is the recognition that suffering and joy are intertwined, and both are necessary for growth. The ultimate test of resilience is not just surviving adversity, but embracing it, for in that embrace, you find your true strength. Life, in its essence, is a constant flow of moments, some fleeting and joyful, others heavy with difficulty and sorrow. We often distinguish these moments, placing value only on the ones that align with our desires or expectations. But in truth, every moment carries significance, for each contributes to the formation of who we are. To embrace every moment fully means to recognize that there is no such thing as a wasted experience. Pain, joy, success, failure, all are pieces of the puzzle, each essential to the whole. When we accept every moment as it is, we cease to live in resistance to what is unfolding and instead surrender ourselves to the rhythm of life itself. This acceptance does not mean passivity, rather it is an active participation in life. Too often we resist the flow of time, constantly wishing for a different reality. We reject the moments that challenge us, hoping they would disappear or change. But these moments, these very challenges, hold the power to reveal the truest parts of ourselves. If we only see the bad times as obstacles, we are blind to the lessons they carry. Suffering, hardship, and discomfort are the catalysts for growth, the rough stones that smooth the edges of our character. When we learn to embrace all moments, we shift our perception. We begin to see that each day is a canvas, waiting to be filled with experiences, and each brushstroke, whether light or dark, adds depth to the picture. The good moments are not more valuable than the difficult ones, they are simply different. To love every moment, to fully engage with life as it comes, is to live with awareness and presence. This acceptance is the foundation for a life free of regret, a life in which every experience is seen not as a burden, but as a necessary step on the path to something greater. The act of acceptance is, at its core, a rejection of resistance. Resistance stems from the belief that life should unfold according to our personal design, and when it does not, we feel frustrated, betrayed, or hopeless. We imagine a world where things always go as planned, where outcomes align with our desires, yet such a world does not exist, nor should it. To live in harmony with the world, one must acknowledge that life's course is often unpredictable, outside our control, and yet still full of possibility. It is here, in this surrender to what is, that true peace resides. The struggle against reality is a fundamental source of human suffering. We are taught from an early age to shape the world to our will, to mold our lives in a way that is neat and orderly. But reality has a way of defying these attempts. Life doesn't bow to our preferences, and the more we resist, the more we find ourselves caught in an endless cycle of frustration. The simple act of acceptance, accepting things as they are, not as we wish them to be, frees us from this cycle. It does not imply that we stop striving or that we resign ourselves to mediocrity, but it means letting go of the inner turmoil that comes from fighting against what we cannot change. Acceptance brings a kind of internal alignment. It allows us to step outside the tension of wanting control and instead to focus on what we can control: our response to life's events. When we stop resisting what is, we stop wasting energy on the impossible, and instead we can channel our efforts into navigating our circumstances with wisdom, grace, and a sense of purpose. In this space of acceptance, we can learn to work with life rather than against it, to flow rather than force. Every setback in life carries with it a profound lesson, though this lesson is not always immediately apparent. When faced with adversity, it is easy to perceive it as an interruption to our progress, a barrier standing between us and our desires. Yet, if we look closer, we see that these so-called obstacles are often the very tools that shape our growth. Adversity forces us to confront ourselves in ways that comfort and ease never could. It strips us of our illusions, breaks down the facades we construct, and forces us to reckon with our own weaknesses, biases, and limitations. In doing so, it creates an opportunity for us to transcend these shortcomings and emerge stronger. Rather than seeing hardship as a misfortune or punishment, we must learn to see it as a forge, one that refines us, molds us, and ultimately prepares us for a greater purpose. Pain, in this sense, is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Each difficult moment, no matter how painful, serves to sharpen our resilience and deepen our understanding of what is truly important. Through adversity, we are compelled to reevaluate our priorities, reassess our values, and recalibrate our sense of direction. This recalibration is not a sign of defeat, but of evolution. What we once thought was insurmountable becomes part of our foundation, something we can build upon. Suffering becomes not a burden, but a catalyst for transformation. The trials we face do not diminish us. They empower us to rise above, to tap into strengths we may not have known existed. By embracing the challenges that come our way, we create within ourselves a reservoir of strength that cannot be shaken by the world. The more we face with courage, the more unshakable our resolve becomes. Every experience in life, no matter how trivial it may seem at the time, carries within it the potential for meaning. The moments we often brush aside as insignificant are, in fact, threads woven into the larger tapestry of our existence. Life does not follow a linear path toward a predefined outcome. Rather, it unfolds in a series of interconnected events, some of which we can control and many that we cannot. To find meaning in every experience is to recognize the value in both the ordinary and the extraordinary, the moments of joy and the moments of sorrow. This process is not about assigning arbitrary meaning to events, but rather about understanding that every experience, every twist of fate, is an essential part of the larger design. The human tendency is to seek meaning only in success, in moments that align with our desires. But this narrow view often prevents us from seeing the broader, deeper significance of our lives. When we shift our mindset, we begin to see that even failure, suffering, and disappointment serve a purpose. These moments are not detours or mistakes. They are part of the intricate pattern that leads us to growth, understanding, and wisdom. Just as an artist sees beauty in the strokes of a brush that will later form a masterpiece, we too must learn to see the beauty in the experiences that shape us, even when they seem confusing or painful in the moment. To embrace this idea is to surrender to the understanding that life's meaning is not always immediately apparent. It is a dynamic process, constantly evolving and revealing itself in ways we may not expect. As we reflect on our experiences, we begin to see that they all contribute to our development in ways that we might not have recognized at first. Even the most challenging times contain lessons that, once understood, reveal their true significance. Life does not wait for us to find meaning. It offers it freely, if we are willing to seek it. To detach from expectations is to release ourselves from the chains that bind us to a world that we cannot control. Expectations are the silent architects of disappointment. They are the blueprints we create in our minds for how we want the world to unfold. And when reality does not adhere to these designs, we are left with a sense of frustration and defeat. In our desire to mold life according to our vision, we forget that life itself is an unpredictable, ever-changing force. It is not static, nor is it meant to be. The world operates on its own terms, indifferent to our desires and plans. To understand this is to free ourselves from the internal strife that comes with wanting things to be different than they are. When we let go of expectations, we cease to cling to a fixed idea of how life should unfold. Instead of fighting against what is, we engage with what comes with open arms and a clear mind. The result is not resignation or apathy, but a form of radical acceptance. We come to understand that each moment has its own inherent value, regardless of whether it aligns with our predetermined notions of success or failure. This shift in perception allows us to live in harmony with the flow of life, rather than constantly swimming against the current. By detaching from expectations, we also learn to embrace uncertainty. The need for control stems from fear. The fear that if things do not go our way, we will be lost, or that we will somehow miss our purpose. But in truth, it is in the unknown, in the unplanned, that we find the greatest opportunities for growth. Life is not a linear path to a fixed destination. It is a journey full of unexpected turns, and it is in these turns that we discover who we truly are. When we stop demanding certainty, living with purpose, we open ourselves not simply to the about achieving external goals or accumulating successes, but rather about aligning one's actions with deeper internal values. To live with purpose is to recognize that life is not a series of random events, but a continuous journey that requires intention, mindfulness, and awareness. Every action, every decision should be a reflection of something greater than the self, something that transcends the fleeting desires of the moment. When we live with purpose, we are not subject to the whims of circumstance. Instead, we become active participants in shaping the course of our lives. Purpose, in this sense, becomes both a compass and a foundation, guiding us through even the most uncertain or challenging times. Purpose does not always come in grand, visible forms. It is not always linked to fame, wealth, or recognition. Often, purpose is found in the smallest moments, in the quiet choices we make when no one is watching. It is in these subtle, everyday actions that we reveal our true character and our deeper intent. Living with purpose means that we approach each moment with clarity, asking ourselves not what we want in the moment, but what we want in the long run. What will give our lives meaning and fulfillment in the grander scheme? When we focus on purpose, the external world loses its power to define us. We are no longer swayed by the transient opinions of others, or the fleeting rewards of worldly success. Instead, we measure our lives by a more enduring standard, by the alignment of our actions with our core beliefs. Purpose helps us navigate through life's unpredictability, ensuring that no matter what happens, we remain anchored to what truly matters. In this way, living with purpose provides us with the strength to endure and the clarity to act. Amor Fati doesn't mean passive submission. It is active participation in life's unfolding. It is choosing to love the entire journey, even when it leads you down unexpected paths. In embracing fate, you liberate yourself from the weight of disappointment, regret, and fear of the unknown. So take a deep breath, look at the road ahead, and remember, what happens, happens for a reason, and you are capable of finding peace in any circumstance. Embrace your fate. Love it.